Missile Crisis was a very stressful time. It happened in October of 1962 and lasted for 13 very long days. John F. Kennedy had to keep his composure even though the United States was on the brink of nuclear war and try to figure out how to end this crisis. To stop the Soviets from bringing more supplies into Cuba, John F. Kennedy put up a naval blockade around Cuba. The Soviets did not like this and took it as a threat of war. The first agreement happened in July of 1962, just after John F. Kennedy's failed attempt to overthrow Fidel Castro in the Bay of Pigs invasion. Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev and Fidel Castro agreed that the Soviet Union would build nuclear weapons in Cuba to prevent future attacks from the United States. The Bay of Pigs happened on April 17, 1961. The United States invaded Cuba to try to overthrow Fidel Castro. The invasion failed, and Castro's army outnumbered the United States Army greatly. After the invasion, Fidel Castro did not want to be invaded again. This is what led to the agreement between him and Nikita Khrushchev. The second agreement happened in October of 1962. The Soviet Union agreed to take out their missiles and destroy their missile sites in Cuba if the United States removed their blockade around Cuba and removed their missiles from Turkey. John F. Kennedy came to the conclusion that this agreement was the best solution while he was discussing the options with his advisors. He then sent Nikita Khrushchev a formal letter informing him about the agreement. The United States, the Soviet Union, and Cuba communicated with each other by sending letters and having meetings with each other. In the end, the agreement that was made by John F. Kennedy and Nikita Khrushchev is what saved the United States from a nuclear war. John F. Kennedy made a very smart decision with this agreement. John F. Kennedy and Nikita's decision to find a way to compromise and not go to war is something that we can all learn from. The Cuban Missile Crisis was a very stressful time for many people, but it was a very important part of history that we can all learn from. In the long history of the world, only few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it. I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all those who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. John F. Kennedy. This concludes the Gamma portion of my presentation. I will now accept any questions.